righty, welcome in. It is SEC After Dark. We got a new look, boys.
Ooh, pretty.
Yeah.
We do have a new look. I'm just trying to take this off the Locked On SEC channel, which is not supposed to be on there. Locked On Ole Miss.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. What
Corey.
Did I click the wrong thing?
Yeah, apparently.
Come on, Corey. Good God.
Uh-oh. Well, there we go.
I
It's,
think we're
I
good.
didn't say it was a smooth operation. It just said it's an operation.
Yeah, definitely ain't no smoothness here.
That's why I'm not a surgeon. Can you imagine that?
I just noticed the number of people watching it was going up at a much higher rate.
Yeah, that's probably why. That's probably why. Was it off now?
I think so. I think we're good.
Good. Okay. I don't think they would have noticed anyway. So, what's up? SEC After Dark. We got some new color schemes. Got a new logo. Got a new show channel logo. What do you? How do you guys feel about it?
I like it.
Yeah, it
I
was
like
pretty good.
It does.
This is sharp. I like it.
Had that After Dark feel to it. Like you're in a bar, hanging out with your best friends, chatting about sports, and of course, these kind of talks go off the rails, so it kind of matches our brand. So, anyway, we got an action-packed show for you guys, and hey, we're presented by the Steer Ad Agency, and Alex is not here to help me talk about it, but it is if you have PR needs, advertising needs, social media, marketing needs, Steer is the place to go, and you just need to contact them, and they'll get you right. And that's who's presenting us right now. And speaking of
the devil.
Speaking of the devil,
Uh,
hey, I know you just got here, but tell us about Steer.
Steer, the Steer Agency.
Yeah.
I forget what my readout is. I got to find it. But PR and public affairs. If you guys need anything on the digital front, digital marketing, digital ads, check out the Steer Agency.
Yeah.
And if you need me to create them, I will. I'll put it on the Locked On Ole Miss channel for you.
Yeah, perfect.
Is that like an album of Dean Martin behind you, boss man?
Sure is. I changed it up tonight. What
That is awesome.
Background here.
Kyle Field, we got Dean Martin, Burl Ives,
Dude.
Sinatra, Johnny Cash, Leadbelly, and
my favorite over there is Don Williams.
Are you pulling a hammer on your phone here?
Wait,
No, I'm not. I'm actually I'm on my laptop, but I'm downstairs. Usually I'm upstairs in my office. But I stepped on glass last night, and so I got my crutches over here.
Oh.
It has been a heck of a 24 hours here.
Is
So
your foot wrapped up? Let's
sure is.
You got the glass out though, right?
You are
Yes,
not
yes, I did.
combine ready, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got the shrapnel out last night. Thankfully, but I had to go to the doctor today and check it out. So yeah, I'm in a new location tonight, laid up.
So you're literally
Man.
chilling on the floor. This is new. I like the albums though, so that's a
I do
really
too.
nice touch.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So what? Okay, story time a little bit. It may not be an exciting story, but story nonetheless. How did we manage to step on the glass here?
Oh, it's a story for an idiot. Basically, I was making dinner the other night, and I had a Pyrex glass that I was making the fish in, and I pulled it out, and I thought Pyrex was indestructible, and so I had a little bit of there was a little bit of burn in the bottom of the glass, and so I was like, all right, I think it's cooled a little bit. I had it out for a couple minutes, and so I put a little bit of water in to start like kind of getting it, getting the burn off of it so I didn't ruin the pan. And that thing blew up, went everywhere, all glass all over.
God.
And I was right in front of my stove, and it dropped down, like some of the glass dropped all over the floor, and I was trying to avoid it. And normally I'm in like shoes in my house, like my moccasins or something, The one time I didn't wear them in weeks, I was in bare feet and just boom, right on top of a big piece of glass.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that's what scares me because I when I go inside the house, shoes and socks are off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I get that. I mean, that's usually I'm that. I just am wearing like, the slippers or moccasins or something. And so, yeah, just wasn't last night. Yeah, I like that, Rick. Was I around Gene Hackman last night?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's very suspicious, boss man.
Yeah, right. What's your alibi? Yeah.
So, moral of the story is, okay, I should wear shoes, and don't put water in a freshly out of the oven Pyrex.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I learned this too the other day. So apparently, I was right. Pyrex is generally indestructible, although a friend told me it's indestructible like the Titanic, which, okay, got me there.
Yeah.
But they it used to be pretty indestructible. However, it got bought and it changed hands and they changed the formula, and now it does
Cheaper to make.
That's nice.
And since we're kind of on this topic and off the rails, start off. But what is it as we get older? We put our shoes on because when we're kids, we're outside, we're barefooted, we're stepping on those little barbs in the ground, we're running all over rocks and everything. Now, as an adult, I can't go outside without my shoes on because if I step on a rock, I'm like crying.
That's called maturity.
Most of us step on glass and learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, wear your shoes.
Yeah, that's
Our
true.
feet are like, dude, I'm not made to be barefoot.
Yeah.
Right. I know. But as kids, we just do it. Don't even think about it.
You guys will enjoy this. With some born, raised Minnesota, lived there. I moved to Louisiana when I was like 23. It was dark a few days later. I go walking outside on the phone. I didn't realize those red ants were a thing on the ground outside. That's a barefoot story that I did not enjoy.
Right.
Ooh.
My mom commented.
Mhm.
Yeah, welcome, Cindy.
Pyrex, that's kind of the topic of the day.
Good to know.
It's
Yeah.
just kind of like don't make sure you refrigerate your pickles after you eat them. Is this kind of that conversation?
Or
Yeah,
By the way, everybody, new rule in the chat as we are doing our rebrand and all that. Please put a location where you're commenting from in your comments so we can shout that out as well.
And also put your height and weight so we know your combine.
No, that is no. We are
not
not
us.
freaking
Not us.
Dan Patrick.
that is all Corey right there. He said that, not nobody else.
Well, we can't get in trouble because we didn't do it. We just we're not stealing this idea here. So put your location. Let us know where you're from, and we'll shout you out. So, Pyrex.
Mhm. Yeah.
new
Because
sponsor.
Yeah.
Pyrex, if you're listening, the glass is out of his foot. It does remove easily.
Yes.
So make sure.
Sort of.
Boss man called him up this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do need to. Yeah. The top of my list. You guys owe me one.
Yeah. Yeah. Pyrex. You send us all a free 9x13.
Yeah.
Now we're going to hear Jake's stories, of course. All
Mm.
right, Mom, you can
All right,
leave.
Cindy. Keep them coming, Cindy. Keep them coming.
Yeah, I love it.
All you were outside was a pair of shorts.
You can leave.
I'm on Wilhite Mountain in Morgan County, Alabama. Yeah. Jake
So-
outside, shirtless and shorts.
Yeah, well,
Bare
let's move to our first topic.
There is literally no way Jake has any childhood story that's even a quarter as dangerous as mine and Jeb's.
Probably not.
And we grew up completely separate. It doesn't matter. It was just the fact that we were children in the early 80s and 70s.
Yeah.
And those decades were trying to kill you.
Yeah, I was a child in the early 90s or late 80s, early 90s, and y'all, like, my story is probably pale in comparison to yours. Like, we're driving down the freaking interstate in the back of a truck, just chilling.
Yeah. No, I remember those days.
I used to ride on the tailgate going 65 mile an hour down an interstate, holding on to basically that little metal thing that was the bracket that held the tailgate on there. If we hit a bump, I was dead.
Yeah.
And we were fine. We were having a good time.
Steve, that's why you have impeccable balance.
That's right.
Not anymore.
Mm.
Not anymore.
Not anymore,
Yeah,
but
no,
then
no.
you had that's why you had impeccable balance.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to ruin Jake's life.
Yeah.
She would not be a good mother if she didn't tell some slightly embarrassing.
I love this. Cindy, you are welcome anytime.
Oh, is that the baby right here crying? Hang on.
Oh,
Dog barking again.
you know, if you leave to take care of the kids, she's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
she's going to
you're
really
right.
tell us some stories.
Yeah.
We might just give her a link and let her tell some stories.
Y'all want to really cool thing. Locked On and Amazon has reached a partnership to where they're going to do a studio show based out of Dallas, Texas, over the course of the NCAA tournament of Locked On host. So one Locked On Vandy, Corey Burton, and one Locked On Ole Miss, Stephen Willis.
Yeah, I got to sign up for a time.
They're going to be on there. They've already asked what times and everything. They asked is like, hey, would you be available at 9:00 on March 31st? And I was like, I can't tell you what I'm going to be doing Saturday.
Yeah, I can't. I'm going to be available if Vandy's still in the tournament. Yes, but
Hmm.
and now that Vandy won on last night, I'm definitely gonna be there now.
Vandy's in the tournament now.
Yeah, they're in. There's no doubt. They're just playing for us. It's just a matter of whether they're an 8 seed, 9 seed, or 10 seed at this
Who they
point.
beat last night?
A&M,
You know,
Wow. Big win.
huge win.
Gamecocks finally got a conference win. Happy
Yeah.
with that. 1-13.
Wow.
Vandy was there. Vandy was
Hey.
there last year, and Georgia has been there many years.
And props to South Carolina, Mike. I'm sure Boss Man's right there with you on that. So getting that first conference win against Texas, I'm
Yeah,
sure he's
yeah.
going to be all
Sure.
for that.
Yeah.
that offset my hurt a little bit from the Vanderbilt loss.
Mhm.
And Texas not being able to beat Arkansas is one of the funniest things I've seen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't matter. That hot shot freshman that Texas has went for 40 points against Arkansas. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Arkansas was without their best player. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Did not matter at all. So yeah, no, that's a cool thing. You're going to see me on a desk trying to talk about basketball, and I'm really just going to do my best Charles Barkley impression by saying a bunch of random stuff, a random basketball fact, and then calling it a day.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay attention to the games and figure out what's going on because
Yeah, this is
this isn't just YouTube and all that watching. This is
Nationwide.
this is going to be put out on the same frequency from Amazon as like their NFL coverage.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a big deal as far as a marketing program for your channel. So it probably should be treated that way.
yeah.
fun.
No, I kid here, but of course, when I jump
yeah.
on that platform, I'm going to. Yeah,
I'm going to be obnoxious as shit.
I can see that.
you don't say. Are you going to try to piss off all fans again? That would be clutch.
I'm going to be so obnoxious. This is going to be fantastic. I'm going to bring the hate back to my site.
It's a good way to go. Is that kind of like your going out with a bang, like for your month away?
No, it's just marketing thing for my next thing because sometime in the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that, a Locked On app is going to drop on Roku and Amazon Fire to where you can basically say, oh, okay, I want to follow Locked On Texas A&M, Locked On Cowboys, Locked On Astros or something like that. And a playlist basically gets generated just for you of those shows. So everything that goes in there. It's going to be really cool. And we're already at the point of populating our roster of that stuff. That's going to be some awesome stuff. So by the time football season hits this year, Locked On is going to be freaking humming.
Yeah, I'm glad you went. I'm very, very glad you went all Texas in your reference there. With
Hey, that was straight for Boss Man. I just went with the A&M, the Cowboys, the Astro. That was all.
that your
for him.
roster of teams, boss man.
Almost nailed it. Rangers.
Rangers,
Oh.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I like the Rangers. I
Yeah.
have family in Dallas. They
I don't
I-
like
I-
those trash can bangers, man.
Yeah, I figured College Station, Houston.
Mostly right. Usually, I
Yeah.
got plenty of friends that are Aggies, Astros. We talk a lot of trash, but yeah, Hammer and I have been Rangers fans since we were kids because we lived in Rockwall outside of Dallas, and so
Okay.
we grew up watching Juan Gonzalez and Ivan Rodriguez and all those guys.
Hudge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were like I remember they had the coolest uniforms, and then they changed, and like usually when you have really cool uniforms and then you change, it's like always worse. It wasn't.
Yeah.
And one of my little league teams, we were I think I was 11 or 12. We were the Rangers, and that was cool.
Didn't A-Rod start with the Rangers before he got traded to the Yankees?
No,
Mariners.
Damn, how young?
Mariners, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Mariner.
Yeah, the Rangers had I don't like their update actually, the newer ones. I liked that look that they had in the 2000s, like 2010, the Josh Hamilton years.
Oh,
They
yeah.
won the World
The
Series.
red.
in
The
11.
red.
The red, the blue, just like the Texas with the Western font, instead of the Rangers with the whatever the hell's going on, the Space Rangers.
I was a huge fan of the 70s Rangers that had the font look like it looks like it's something out of Toy Story written across the front of the jersey. Yeah, that I was a fan of that one.
Those are good. Yeah, they've done a pretty good job over the years for the most part. They've had a couple oddballs, like they had black brim hats one year with blue, which was a little odd.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they've done a good job.
And
they
on
had
this,
the cursive at one point, the cursive Rangers. But I like the red hats, the big bold Western font, and like where it's
Mhm.
Rangers on it, and then they evolved to the blue hat with the Alex Rodriguez uniforms and stuff.
oh
Yeah.
By the way, before we change subjects and get to SEC talk and actually do what the show is called, can we talk about the Cubs being the biggest posers in the history of the world with their new alternate uniforms, where they basically just rip off the Montreal Expos and
Okay.
add a little bit of font? Yeah, and they had the font that's that old Texas style font for the Cubs.
Cubs alternate jerseys. Okay, here we go.
I hadn't seen these yet.
Yeah, I didn't say them either.
Is it the like the big C, like the almost looks like they're trying to do the Canadian C with the
Yeah.
Cubs?
Yeah.
I see it now. Yeah.
Yeah, those. Yeah, they look like they're trying to rip off the Canadiens, not the Expos.
No,
I know why Nike does
that is the Expos jerseys.
Oh, the blue. Yeah.
Yeah, that is literally like I could see Andre Dawson right now with the Expos in that jersey. Tim Raines.
All right.
Right
all right. I mean, the Expos have a pretty iconic logo, though.
They do. I will say that jersey, while it is a ripoff, I agree with you, Steve, is better than any of the City Connect jerseys that Nike did.
Yeah.
Those were so atrocious.
When I become commissioner, the first thing I do is ban City Connect jerseys.
Amen.
The first thing that is rule number one. The second thing is to ban the designated hitter in the National League.
I'm with you on that too. I hate that.
Me
I
too.
love the difference. Yeah, even
I
though
wanna-
because you'd also get those things like speaking of the Cubs, I remember when Kerry Wood hit that home run in the playoffs. Every once in a while you get an incredible moment of a pitcher.
Yeah, like as Braves fans, Jake, you don't get the Maddox Glavine chicks dig the long ball commercial if you have a DH.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know,
He was one of the right before DH coming the National League. I think Yona, the pitcher for the Braves, he hit like a 3-run home run or something like that. I mean, it was an incredible moment. I missed that. I mean, Tim Hudson played for the Braves. He come out of high school at Auburn. He played both pitcher and in the field. If he would have got drafted to a National League team instead of the A's, man, his hitting would have been a lot better than what it was. When he got to the Braves, but he still hit pretty good.
There it is.
the
Yeah.
Canadians. Yeah, that's exact. I see Canadians.
Now you can see that jersey right there, and it looks fine, but that isn't what makes it the. Whenever you can see the ripoff of what the Expos are, because this is what the jersey is going to look like. Okay,
Yeah.
so the font is that Texas Ranger Western style font,
Yep.
but that is a template of the Montreal Expos uniform, and just to prove that,
Okay, I got to see it. I got to see it. I'm a visual guy.
Mhm.
I'm a visual guy.
I could see Randy Johnson in this uniform.
Why is it done with a horseshoe?
Oh, that's a good question.
There's some
Sure.
teams that just don't need alternates. The Chicago Cubs don't need alternates.
No.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Neither do the White Sox. Both the Chicago teams have solid unis.
Yeah,
They do.
exactly.
They do.
One of the few things the White Sox are doing well right now.
Oh,
Besides
wow.
losing games.
Yeah.
Yeah, the overall template. I was thinking like the logo you were saying is now are they going to come out in a tricolored hat?
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Uh-oh.
We'll,
Oh, no.
we'll do that too, because like I said, this is a ripoff,
Okay.
a straight
the
ripoff.
hat will bring it all together.
Honestly, I miss the Expos having a major league team.
Yeah, I do too. I'm not totally with you just yet, Steve. But if you bust out the tricolor hat, I'm with you.
It's not tricolor, but
It's getting there.
Okay,
It's
all right.
getting there.
It's close.
Yeah.
whenever you put it together with those blue jerseys, it is
Yeah.
basically, hey, the Montreal Expos had a great look, and we're going to copy the hell out of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they're not here to defend themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah. Okay. I'm there.
It's a good looking uniform that is a straight ripoff of the Montreal Expos.
Fair. Yeah.
Everybody bullied Nike so hard that they went back to designing and they just started ripping everything off that people loved from a bygone era.
Yeah,
Like,
and
hey,
I
everybody hates the City Connects.
hey, and I will say this. We should campaign every single day for the return of the Montreal Expos if there's an expansion program, because the Expos, Major League Baseball has not been the same since the Nationals have been a thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Like who? Like I get that you wanted to revive the Washington Senators.
Then call them the Senators.
I don't
Although,
know
which,
if
by the way,
Canada's the right-
speaking, we go, Minnesota Twins and Texas Rangers are both formerly the Washington Senators, by the
Yep.
way.
I'm a Twins guy. Sure are.
Mhm.
I think the case against going back to Canada, though, would be the NHL. I mean, multiple teams there. No Canadian team has won a Stanley Cup in over 30 years. And it's also been over 20 years since a top-notch free agent signed with a Canadian team. That tells me the money isn't there, and maybe going back there is not a great idea.
So Winnipeg, I would like you to return the Atlanta Thrashers back to Atlanta because they will do so well in Atlanta.
I remember, the Expos only win like 60 games, but every single time Levon Hernandez pitched against the Braves, he gave us hell and fits every single time. He was a great pitcher for them.
Dude,
They had the best record in the NL the strike year.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the strike, they were going to win the World Series.
Yeah, that's
there was
right.
dents in the back wall of that stadium because of Vlad Guerrero.
Yeah.
No.
He basically hit a ball off of a bounce 470 feet in Olympic Stadium.
And off of the back wall. Like
Yeah.
it's insane.
It
The
was.
bombs he used to hit. Randy Johnson
Mhm.
with the hair all the way
Yep.
past his shoulders.
Pedro.
Larry Walker before he went to the Rockies.
Mhm.
Tim Raines was awesome. That was back in the days when base running was cool and stealing bases was cool. And Ricky Henderson and Tim Raines and
I remember
who's
Raines
the
not
guy
wearing
from
his batting
St. Louis?
helmet because he was like the last guy in the league that didn't have to wear one.
yeah,
Wow.
freaking fantastic. It was awesome.
Baseball used to be fun. Now ESPN loses them and it's no big deal. Like that's how far baseball has fallen.
I think listen, I think ESPN losing Major League Baseball or dropping Major League Baseball is actually a good thing if Major League Baseball will actually take a second and figure out what's going on. They need to centralize. They're the only ones whose media rights are not centralized. Everything is built on those regional sports networks like Fox Sports Texas and all of that. Regionalize it and start making things like Monday Night Baseball and the things that made baseball famous in the 60s and 70s so good. You need to try and recreate that. John,
Even
Go ahead.
90s, early 2000s. Baseball Tonight was a really good production with Peter Gammons, Harold Baines. Very good show.
John Crook. I loved when John Crook was on there. And
Yeah.
you had John Miller and Joe Morgan calling the games. I was tuning into Sunday Night Baseball every Sunday.
Yeah, and then him and and Kruk and Harold Reynolds would go at it on Baseball Tonight.
Reynolds, that's it. Reynolds, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ESPN is about to launch something on ESPN Plus. They're going to do like a Sports Center Plus, and it's going to kind of be like NFL Primetime is, except for the other sports. The old style highlights, they still exist on their platform, and they're going to actually build an old style Sports Center on ESPN Plus. So I'm curious about that.
So you just watch it on rerun like the old days, like on your days off.
Well, I don't know if if they need to set it up to where it just replays. Yeah, like whenever you're doing the stream.
Yeah, so that you can really recreate your childhood. Jake
I
knows
think they'd have more luck just putting old Stuart Scott, reels up there. Dan Patrick, like all the old school guys. John Anderson, like
Carl Ravitch.
Yeah, Ravitch.
Kenny Mayne.
Yeah, exactly.
Like before he went cuckoo.
Yeah.
They need to basically redo ESPN Classic by actually using the content that they have and put big moments on there, like the night where after the flu game for Michael Jordan against Utah, put that Sports Center up and stuff like that so you can recreate those. I think that would be cool, but ESPN's kind of missing an opportunity to do something like that.
Topical stuff right now, you could do a lot of Gretzky and House stuff with Ovechkin getting close to the record, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could play replay his best games, and then the Sports Center coverage after it would be like, because like after a primetime game, you rush right over to Sports Center, and you want to check out the highlights, and you want to check out what the hell they're talking about, and you want to see it.
If I was faking sick as a kid, I was watching Sports Center to start the day, and then I was either playing PlayStation or I was going to ESPN Classic, and I was watching for 3 hours, 4 hours ESPN Classic. A bunch of my friends were like watching Maury and Jerry Springer. I had no interest in that, man. I'm watching ESPN Classic. I want to see the flu game.
Yeah. I will say, Right is one of the goats of
just
TV. But
at 3:00 in the afternoon on Wednesday in the middle of July, the Miracle on Ice on TV, stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly.
Fun Miracle on Ice fact: Bill Baker, one of the guys on the team, my oral surgeon, took my wisdom teeth out.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah, I went to high school with his daughter. They're Minnesota people. Yeah.
Cool.
Miracle is my favorite movie of all time. Period. I watched that literally 2 nights ago.
Yeah, is that going to be your new Indiana Jones Good Luck movie?
No, because Good Luck isn't happening whenever I'm watching it. It actually has to be a Good Luck movie before you can make it a Good Luck movie.
Well, how did you know Indiana Jones is going to be a Good Luck movie? You didn't.
Ole Miss got Walter Nolan.
And right after you watched it?
Were you watching Raiders at the time, Steve?
No, it was the Dial of Destiny, the new one.
We can't see, but I got Raiders tattoo down here. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah, Indiana
Jeb,
Jones.
do I see Big Trouble in Little China? Because I got one of those too.
You do.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
This is so interesting. I don't even care about coach quarterback combos at this point. The only coach quarterback combo I need is ESPN Classic showing me Bill Walsh and Joe Montana.
The old NFL Films was a good spinoff of ESPN Classic too.
NFL Films is one of the greatest production companies of all time. Like they are amazing with everything.
NFL Films in the late 70s, early 80s was special. It really was.
You had Ed Sable,
his son too, right? Eventually,
Steve Sable. You did when it went from Ed to Steve, you didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
I started watching like mid '90s, and Ed was was still alive, but he wasn't doing much by that time.
Yeah. And then they started the concept of Hard Knocks, which was incredible. When they did the original Ravens one, that one was outstanding because it actually followed the stars and not trying to drum up some uninteresting stories about guys that are going to eventually get cut anyway.
I still watch that clip of I forget the guy's name, but the guy who was impersonating Shannon Sharp, and Shannon Sharp's in the back of the room. He nails that impression. It is so funny.
And Shannon is losing his mind.
Losing it. Yeah. Yeah. And then they play the prank on him.
Yeah.
And he's
I want my restitution.
yeah, not restitution. That's right.
I said, Goose, you know, I want my restitution.
Yeah.
Love that.
What's that? What's the one? The super famous NFL films intro that they talk about. It's like the autumn wind is a Tuscan Raider or something, or what is it?
The autumn wind is a Raider. Yeah,
Yeah.
the John Facenda thing.
Not a Tuscan Raider, not a Star Wars reference. Yeah,
Yeah.
Pillaging and burrowing through the
yeah.
risks. It's like
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And there's also one of the songs that it was an NFL go-to was actually the music to "What Would You Do with a Drunken Sailor." They basically took royalty-free music and basically made it football music to the point where everybody wanted to do that. To the like, every college right now has a live show that's going on, but their music is always guaranteed to sound like NFL film stuff, and sometimes it literally is NFL film stuff.
mhm.
Yeah, their production value was ahead of its time for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I remember whenever I was at Ole Miss, another lifetime ago, I was there when Ed Orgeron was there, and Ole Miss had a problem, and that was at that point was the standard coaches show thing where you put like the radio guy and the coach on screen and let him talk about the game and what's going on to show highlights and all of that stuff. Well, the problem is nobody could understand what the hell he was saying. And they were trying to figure out how to get around that. And they were brainstorming over and over again. And they basically decided to copy Hard Knocks as best they can because nobody could understand Ed Orgeron. And that is absolutely hilarious because the whole industry of college marketing changed because he was not understandable.
He was not.
Mm-mm.
So is Ole Miss the first one to do one of those shows? What do they call theirs? The one on YouTube or whatever?
The season. Yeah. They pretty much changed the game, and now everybody does it.
Yeah,
But Ole Miss basically directly copied Hard Knocks. So
right.
it's hard to take too much credit.
And remember around that time too, Bruce Feldman wrote The Meat Market, where he followed Orgeron around for a while.
He was in
good book.
He was in the building when I was there. I was there that year.
Okay.
Yeah, inside the building, meeting with Bruce and all of that. At that point, I was just I was either a student videographer or an assistant video guy. I was either a number 2 or a number 3 at that point. I was not the head guy at that point yet. But yeah, I remember that well. But that was Ole Miss trying to go after Joe McKnight, rest his soul,
Mhm.
and that stuff that everybody loves that book. But it's kind of funny.
Was Ed Orgeron pounding Red Bulls Stone Cold Steve Austin style, or
He had a Red Bull freezer in multiple rooms and offices that he was in. He was always he would literally dip coffee grounds for the caffeine.
Jeez.
How is that guy still alive?
That guy
Yeah.
makes Dan Campbell look conservative when it comes
Yeah,
to
it was and the crazy thing, he would sit here and tell you a story of what was going on. I couldn't understand him, but you couldn't say "huh" to him because if you said "huh," he was going to yell at you, and he would completely try to humiliate you in front of actually everybody that's watching what's going on, who didn't understand a damn word that he said either.
Yeah.
It's not really any surprise that he was not successful at Ole Miss.
All right, Steve, you we might have to re-dig up this story. Did you tell Mike and Boss Man? Did they know about the story where you trolled? Who was it? The defensive line coach with in his cut up where you put?
Ryan Nielsen, who was at that last year was I think the defensive coordinator with the Saints.
Mhm.
So he's very high up. He's done quite well for himself. But at Ole Miss, we had to do a thing called Coach of the Day. And this was ordered by Ed Orgeron. He'd tell me exactly who to do. And basically what we were doing was making a caricature of this coach and putting that on the screen for a team meeting for everybody to enjoy. Orgeron would pick out the name. So he'd come in and he'd say, okay, do Frank Wilson. So I had my wife, Becky, the voice of God, was a big Photoshop person and understand to do that. And she made all of my coaches of the day because she was really good at that. She made a Flava Flav drawing of Frank Wilson at that point. He was an assistant coach. Ace Ventura, Matt Lubick, that type of stuff. She decided to do a Vanilla Ice one and make it of Ryan Nielsen. And she titled it Rush Rush Baby at the top.
Just kind of perfect.
And everybody lost their mind on that one. If you ever seen this guy, this is a guy from Southern California. When you see Ryan Nielsen, so the Vanilla Ice thing worked. He had the haircut and everything. It was ridiculous. But also remember, this was an all Pac-12 defensive lineman who was 6'6", 260, 270 pounds, and in a lot of shape. At my absolute best, I'm 210 pounds and not in excellent shape. Okay. So we put that one up there. Ed Orgeron really liked it to the point where he's like, good job on that one. So he started requesting that go up for the coach of the day multiple times. But every time it went up, Ryan Nielsen would come by and tell me to stop doing that to him. Do not put that up. And it got to the point where the next time you do it, I'm going to beat your ass. That is what Ryan Nielsen was saying to me. And Ed Orgeron, I'm assuming, knew what was going on because he loved the conflict and all of this stuff that was happening. Told me to do it again. So I put it up again. Ryan Nielsen said, I am going to beat your ass. It's over now. It's going to happen. And this is a 6'6", 270 pound all Pac-12 guy or Pac-10 guy or whatever telling me that over something that I had no control over and only was doing what I was told because the person that could fire me, actually, I was not going to say no to him. So I did it. And he said, okay, after work today, I'm going to beat your ass. And it's like, okay, well, that happened. Well, that day at that point is like, I'm not doing this anymore. I actually put in my notice that day. But when I did it, I had 2 weeks left to go. So I decided, okay, I'm the most petty human being on the planet, period. If you cross me, I will go to the end of the earth to ruin your life, period. I have no scruples about that whatsoever. So I decided, okay, you really hate this? I decided to rename it into where it looked exactly like a play clip and all that, and just insert it Rush Rush Baby and all the defensive line cut-ups over the course of the whole season. Completely hitting, completely hard to find. So he'd be just watching 3rd and 10 cut-ups, and on the 4th clip, it would just be a Rush Rush Baby. And that went on the whole football season to the point where he was going down to the new video guy and saying, you need to get this going. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't find it. I don't know what, because I hid it. That's what I did. I hid it. So it couldn't be found. And it went through the whole season because he deserved to have to look at that and deal with the embarrassment of that for threatening to kick somebody's ass for doing what he was told to do.
It's something completely harmless. Like it's
yeah. Just because your pride can't handle that, you were flashing out at the completely wrong person. But yes, I absolutely. And honestly, if I'd have had more, I would have done it because I was at the point where just screw this. I'm going to ruin your reputation in life at this point if you're going to be embarrassed by that. I have no problem doing that.
Wow.
That's good stuff.
And thankfully, you didn't ruin him, Stephen. He has made it.
No, he's doing all right.
Yeah.
He's doing fine. Hopefully, he's not as soft as he was.
Yeah. He's with the Bills now. I know that.
Yeah.
I will say this. I will pay Becky for a framed version of that.
Yeah. Honestly, if I would have had the scruples at all, we'd have saved every one of those because the Ryan Nielsen one was awesome. The Rush Rush Baby was hilarious. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen because it was like the MC Hammer parachute pants on the bottom, the whole 9 yards. It was fantastic. But the Flava Flav Frank Wilson one and the Ace Ventura Matt Lubick ones were very. Becky is so good at this.
How did they take it?
They're fine. Frank Wilson was a yes man. Whatever Ed Orgeron wanted, he was fine. It was okay. Nothing bothered that. And Matt Lubick's just a cool dude.
Was Tony Hughes on the staff then?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
I know
yeah.
Tony, I know Tony as well.
Yeah.
I couldn't really do Tony because he didn't really have a personality that fit making fun of. He's just such a nice guy. But yeah, the one that I wanted to do that I can't remember what we did was Art Kehoe. And Art Kehoe is one of 3 or 4 people on the entire planet that I'd run through a brick wall for. Whatever he wanted, I would try like heck to do it. Just an unbelievable guy. Quick story. We were getting ready to go to Alabama before that. And the night before that, Ed Orgeron got it under his skin that all the coaches needed to be wearing a suit and tie on the bus going down to Alabama instead of just normal coaches stuff. And Art Kehoe apparently didn't get that message the night before. Got there the next morning. And next thing you know, he was pacing around the Manning Center in Oxford. And it was like, and my office was like literally right across from Art Kehoe's office, like right next to it. It was Hugh Freeze's office, Art Kehoe's office, the offensive coordinator room, the way it was set up. And Art Kehoe was just kind of mumbling to himself. I was like, what's going on? And he's like, Art Kehoe's like, he wants me to wear a suit and tie to go down to the Alabama game. I was like, okay, that makes sense and everything. He's like, how about I would just wear an adult diaper and combat boots and see how he freaking likes that? And it's amazing.
Nice.
just the mental image of Art Kehoe in an adult diaper and combat boots was enough to just make it work.
That's phenomenal. Oh God.
Mm.
I could listen to these stories all freaking night.
Yeah. I literally sat there and heard Ed Orgeron yell at the athletic trainer for Ole Miss because instead of, what cows are to where it's just a cooler with the thing set up, that's how they'd always done water. But Orgeron wanted water bottles. He yelled at him for 2 hours. 2 hours.
2 hours?
A 2-hour yelling to the point where eventually I just left work. It was so uncomfortable at that point. 2 hours, water bottles, cows. The athletic trainer, that was his last year, surprisingly.
Were they going back and forth, or was he just sitting there taking it?
Oh no, he was taking it. That's the way it was. It was a hairdryer.
Yeah.
We were in the team room one time. Okay.
I like that.
We're in the team room one time. Me and Brandon Fairburn, who at that point was the video coordinator. And we were doing the team activities, and we had computers set up on the back walls that were ran on both sides, So we had me on one side and Brandon on the other. And they did a dog pile thing. It is one of those super alpha melee things. They rip off their shirts. All of the stuff that you've heard about Coach Orgeron probably comes from this drill, to where they talk about, and it's like they throw a football on the ground and the whole football team jumps on it and creates a dog pile. It was ridiculous. It looked like an episode of South Park, if we're going to be honest about it. But they're sitting there going through and doing everything they have to do. And me and Brandon were in the back because we're adults. We're not playing this game. It's like, okay, whatever. Y'all have fun. Do whatever you have to do. Destroy furniture, the whole 9 yards. That's fine. And he stops right there. Everybody stopped, and he starts yelling, and you can't really understand what he's saying, but you're trying to make out the words of what it is. And before long, you realize he's yelling at me. And the whole thing was, while they're doing their football drill in the middle of an inside team room to pile up and do all of that, he stopped because I didn't take my shirt off.
Oh my God.
And he sat for 15 minutes yelling about me not taking my shirt off so they could do their fumble drill in a team room. And and one side was chanting Ole Miss, the other side was chanting Wild Boys, and they just stopped in the middle. It's like, why is your shirt not off? Like I'm the weird one.
One of the most homoerotic stories I've ever heard.
You just want to say, it's like, okay, listen, somebody has to be an adult in here.
I think Jeff Googled that once.
I was gonna say it, and I'm the Googler.
I don't know how this. I don't know how this turned into Ed Orgeron stories after dark, but
It did.
It did, and we're all thankful.
I can only imagine like what that looked like. You know, like "Oh, Steve, did you want your shirt off? Oh, you know, can't
Listen.
understand a word coming out of that guy's mouth.
the
Was your
day Ed
punishment-
Orgeron got hired at Ole Miss, I did not see this personally, but this went through the facility pretty quickly, and everybody heard about it. Whenever he went into the locker room to meet the team, the first thing that he did was rip off his shirt and said, "Not
heard that.
any one of you can beat me up."
Mm.
That's not exactly what he said. He was a little bit colorful with the language as well, but that was his introduction.
I love it.
So, yeah, I'm thankful I got my job as a video guy because of him and because of the weird stuff he did. I am thankful about that. But my goodness, that is 3 years that
Good night, Rick and Buddy.
it got me a job at Yahoo, and it got me in my career and eventually podcasting on Ole Miss. But
Here we are.
my God, that was just a horrible 3 years.
I'm like 75% sure this is a yes, but was your punishment that you had to then rub his chest with oil?
Oh,
I feel like that's the way it would have gone there.
They weren't oiled up. Were they?
That would make that game more fun.
This was all before
Bunch of
practice, by the way.
Oily dudes fighting for a ball. And
Had to
yeah.
oil him up and take him to
There,
Cerulli.
there are people that opt out of bowl games to prevent the physical content that happened in that.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely ridiculous.
I hate to be whoever was on the front row. They're probably on the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, and
Poor
you just have
punters
to
just
do
down
it.
there. Let me out.
So,
What was going to deserve this?
guys, it was so weird, just so weird to see that. Whenever you just have, it's like, what is going? You're just having a thought, trying to process. It's like, what is happening?
Did the other
Why
right
did I
now.
sit next to the offensive lineman?
I can
Yeah.
imagine.
What was this Brandon guy doing at this time? Did he have his shirt off?
Hey, Yes, he had to because we were back there. Yeah, at that point, he was the actual video coordinator, and I was the number 2. And still, after that is when I got the video coordinator job after Brandon left, because basically the video coordinator was like a red shirt in Star Trek. They lasted about 6 months. I mean, you basically got the job to get fired.
Oh gosh.
So,
That's good.
and the sad thing, I got that job and went in there basically because David Cutcliffe came on my radio show in Italy. And because of that, I had an in to come in to start working for everything that I did. And then after that year, David Cutcliffe got fired, and then all of the fun began.
Should have never happened.
Yeah, but they regretted that.
Yeah.
God.
But yeah,
So is Hugh Freeze delivering sermons while he had his shirt off? And
man, Hugh Freeze was such a yes man. Oh my goodness. My goodness. He would basically anything that the all-powerful Ed Orgeron wanted, him and Frank Wilson was there to make sure that it happened. Put it to you like this. We were also another year getting ready to go to Alabama. I think this was the second time or something like that. We were getting ready to play Alabama, and they were getting ready to go on the bus. This might have been the same trip that the adult diaper and combat boots, honestly. And part of the job was you created a highlight video before the game. Everybody's seen those now, but back then it was kind of a big ordeal. You put it together, you edit it up together. I had it situated for 2.5 minutes. All of this, it seemed like it was going to be pretty cool. About an hour before we got on the bus, Ed Orgeron came in and said something to me. Of course, I didn't understand what he said. I understood about every fourth word from Ed Orgeron, period, over the time of my whole existence up there. But Frank Wilson was right there to kind of repeat what was going on. He was kind of the Eddie Haskell of the coaching staff.
The translator also.
Yeah. And what Orgeron wanted an hour before we left Alabama. Remember, now we started working on these highlights like 2 days before the game. That was kind of once it slowed down after Wednesday practice, you started working on the highlight video. And about an hour before we were going to get on the bus, Orgeron came in and said his thing. And Frank Wilson said, yeah, he wants the scene from Rocky or Rocky 2 where Rocky needed to get cut in boxing. And he's like, cut me, Mick. And he wanted that scene for the highlight video. Of course, it made no sense with what I was doing. He just wanted that scene in there. So we were looking through at that point, we were trying to find Blockbuster, whichever video rental store was up there, and trying to find a copy of it, and eventually found it, rushed in a cut for it and all of this. And we got to Alabama and they watched it and nothing. It didn't say a thing. As much trouble as that went into for that to happen, nobody even acknowledged that it was there. And honestly, it made the video look worse. But it was just one of those weird things. He was an agent of chaos that you could not understand. And I don't know that any normal, rational person would be okay with that, honestly. And honestly, most of them weren't.
Yeah, that's probably why most of them left.
Yeah.
Some
Quickly.
got fired.
That's probably why he didn't last very long either.
Mhm.
He comes.
Yeah,
it's like a human tornado.
Yeah, when you're sitting there 34-31 against the Citadel with about 15,000 people in the stadium, it's like this is probably not going to work out.
Yeah, Brent Schaefer.
Yeah.
I will say this. In 2007, Ole Miss was awful. Ole Miss was awful all 3 of the years, but Ole Miss was really bad then. But 2007 was the Brent Schaefer year. And in the Mississippi State game, they decided to let Hugh Freeze call the offense that game. And they did a whole bunch of stuff. That Dexter McCluster and Marche Green, 2 slot receivers. They did some interesting stuff. And Ole Miss actually looked like they had a little bit of hope in that game. And then there came to a 4th down call, 4th and 2. Ole Miss was up by 3 points on their own 40-yard line or something like that, got stopped. State scored a touchdown, returned a punt for a touchdown, ended up winning the game. And after that game is when Ed Orgeron got fired.
I mean, he got fired at LSU after winning a national championship. So apparently he has some
Hey.
problems.
He did have one of the best quotes I've ever heard about that, because he walked in and he said, the Athletic, we're going to have to let you go. We're going to pay you buyout and all of that.
Mhm.
And Ed Orgeron said, which door do you want me to leave out of, and what time do you want me to go?
Yeah.
And
His bio was nice.
like that was a funny quote.
What?
You gonna pay me how much? All right, we store.
Yeah,
It must have been such a crazy. I mean, I know it was a disaster by the end of his time at LSU, but it must have been so. He's radioactive. He cannot get a look. It's pretty
That's
wild.
true.
You know, the guy won a national championship with one of the greatest teams of all time, and we can argue whether he, how much hand he had in that or not, and whether it was more, his hires or whatever, and the talent he had on that team. But
he's a crazier version of Larry Coker. It's all he is.
Well,
that's a good comparison.
that year that LSU won the national championship, they had Joe Brady at offensive coordinator, who
Yeah.
is the offensive coordinator for the Bills right now.
Mhm.
And you had Dave Aranda, who is one of the best defensive minds in all of football. So everybody knew that he was kind of just the figurehead. And it was really Brady and Aranda that won that. And then you had Joe Burrow at quarterback and Jamar Chase, and then just generational passing game.
And Justin Jefferson
Yeah,
But
Justin
that didn't come
Jefferson.
together without Ed Orgeron.
and
Ed
Thaddeus
Orgeron
Moss.
recruited all those guys to get there. I mean, we have to give him a little credit. Was he the X's and O's?
He can recruit. He can. He literally can.
Right.
And he built that roster, and he deserves all the credit in the world. But you're right. There's probably a reason he's radioactive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
And
boom
they
mic-
went downhill so fast. I mean, it was not long later, and they were playing a receiver at quarterback in a bowl game and had 35 scholarship guys when Kelly took over. I mean, it went downhill fast.
Very fast. Yeah. That year that I think it was the year he got fired. when they played UCLA in week 1, and he made the comment about the sissy blue jerseys, and they go out to LA and get beat by a, not a very good UCLA team.
And they got like 20-pieced.
Yeah, they got rocked.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny, and that was also like, okay, writing's on the wall. This one's done.
That was Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They had a decent team that year.
They were okay, but for UCLA standards, yeah, decent. But overall, I don't think that year they were
good.
His first year without Dave
that was one
Aranda-
of Chip's best. It was one of Chip Kelly's best teams at UCLA.
How many games did they win though? Were they? I mean, did Chip ever win 10 games?
8-4. They were 8-4.
I was going to say 8-4. Yeah, an LSU team should crush a UCLA team 8-4.
Hey, you look at that LSU. That was the first year without. In 2020 was the first year he had without Dave Aranda as a defensive coordinator, because I think he took the Baylor job. The first game was against Mississippi State. That was one of those weird COVID games.
Yeah.
Mississippi State threw for 670 yards passing or something like that. That game was like, okay.
Was it KJ Costello?
KJ
Yes,
Costello.
yeah.
AJ Costello and the Pirate.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that game the other day because I saw a clip. We ought to look it up, or you guys ought to check it out after the show. But KJ Costello was on some podcast the other day talking about Pirate stories. And he started talking about that game, and he was like, I had come from Stanford. Our preparation was very detailed. Like, this is what we're doing, the game plan. Everything was like very, almost like, militaristic. And he said, then I got to Mississippi State, and he said, he was like, we're like a week out from LSU, who just won the national championship. And I'm thinking like, we got to be on our P's and Q's. We got to do all this stuff. I got to really, really be dialed in. And he said he would go into meetings, QB meetings, and Mike Leach would be in there. He said he would talk about like political theory for like an hour and a half in this QB meeting. He was like, we wouldn't talk anything about LSU, the offense, what we were running, and he would be bouncing political science questions off of us. He was like, we barely talked about football in those QB meetings.
Yeah, and whoever the defensive coordinator is for LSU in 2020, I don't know who it was, but whoever.
Bo Pelini. That's when Bo Pelini went back there.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
running man coverage against the Mike Leach offense and not playing zone at all. They deserved what they got. Whenever Mike Leach, I can remember that game. Mississippi State just meshed concept them to death that game.
Yeah.
And Mike Leach, his call sheet was like a Post-it note. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't need the game plan. He's like, I'm just going to call these plays, and we're going
to win.
We're going to win.
He's a mad genius.
It's one of those most baffling genius things. You're like, this guy you can't study him because it just goes against everything you ever learn about coaching.
No.
Yeah. And if you get mad at somebody, just lock him in a shed.
Yeah.
But to be fair, that was Craig James's kid, and he probably deserved it.
Yeah.
And it was the boiler room. He upgraded it to the boiler room at least.
I'll defend the Pirate to my death. I loved Mike Leach.
Yeah. That was. He needed to leave Texas Tech anyway. So he's like, you know what? I'm kind of tired of Lubbock, so I'm gonna just lock.
Head to Starkville.
Yeah.
and
He was pretty good at Wazoo.
He was good at Wazoo. Yeah, he just was.
He's like Pullman, Washington sounds really, really nice right now.
He truly was a Pirate because he was always at the outposts of college football, and then he would just start plundering every conference he went to. It's pretty impressive.
I mean, it fit. And I read Swing Your Sword. That book is incredible.
Really?
Yeah.
Not read that.
So guys would get in trouble. This is one of the cool things. Like someone would get in trouble. They'd break a rule, or they'd miss a tutoring session, or whatever they did to get in trouble. Like the punishment was the same. They would have the 5 a.m. run through campus. But he was there. Like I think he followed in a golf cart, or he did something, or he walked along, or he like met him at different points. And he would they would run to these certain points, and then they would stop, and he would lecture them about some historical fact. And then they would run some more, and they would run and get lectured.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm like, that's Pike.
Fantastic.
Somebody needs to make a meme of that with like the scene in Remember the Titans where they're running like through and then they eventually they get to the graveyard. Somebody needs to make that, but they just need to insert Mike Leach into different parts of that scene, like the one where he's giving the marriage advice, and the one where he's picking the best candy and like all the random ones.
And he's talking about his coffee.
I like
Who would win the mascot fights?
Yeah, the mascot fight.
Yeah.
Was my favorite one.
That's
That is
It's
a
like,
classic.
is this sun devil a mythical creature? I was like,
the cougar.
Hurricane, that's an act of God. Yeah.
Maybe the one time that he's getting mad at him, he's like talking about their fat little girlfriends and
Oh my God, that was so great.
oh, the meme of him just going around taking down the folding chairs where you just don't even get chairs anymore on the offense. The man was just a treasure. He was an absolute treasure.
he was. He's in the stands taking pictures, signing autographs, and there's a total melee going on at the other end of the field. Oh, man.
It was pretty fantastic. Yeah, I'm sorry to everybody that SEC After Dark tonight turned into Ed Orgeron story time.
I think this is one of our higher rated shows. Everybody seemed to like story time.
Everybody's like, yeah, coach quarterback combos. Yeah, it's February. You can talk about that.
Yeah. Listen, I'm thankful he hired me. I'm thankful, but that was a miserable 2 years. And
Just
it is what it is. But
Mississippi State.
yeah.
I was an FCS video guy for 2 years, and it was awful. It was terrible.
Yeah.
That breeds good stories, though. When you're in the trenches, good stories always come out of that.
I was
Listen. The Manning Center at Ole Miss, and they've redone it now, so it's not set up this way. But whenever I was there, the Manning Center was actually set up by the video guy. He designed how everything was going to be laid out, and we had basically the equivalent of like 1,500 square foot of office space for the video room, right in the center, right next to the war room, and both the coordinators, like all in the nerve hub of the offices. And so you knew everything that was kind of going on, and it was kind of pretty cool. West event, how hot is Hugh Freeze's seat? If he doesn't win 8 games, it's very, very hot. And I think everybody needs to pay attention. If he drops the game against Baylor in the first game, his seat is going to get really hot.
Because he's going to lose to Pavia.
Yes, because hey, it's never too late. It's never too late, Hugh Freeze, to get your Father's Day gift now.
Sure.
I think it would take a meltdown for him to lose his job this year, but he easily could be on the hot seat after.
Yeah.
You lose your 4th to Pavia, Mike. It's over.
Curtains.
Take a bow. Auburn fans are nuts, dude.
And they're invested this season. We always talk about schools that are desperate right now. The most desperate schools in college football is Auburn, LSU, and Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
That is what's going on in college football right now. They are invested. So this is the year that has to have results.
It's going to be probably the most talented roster. Y'all check me if you think I'm wrong, but the most talented roster he's had since he's been at Auburn.
Easy.
I need to see what he has in running back.
Right. Maybe outside of running back. But it's Auburn. They always have a running back. Auburn folks.
They just don't use them, so it doesn't really
I'm not a Jackson Earl guy. I think at QB he's made a lot of mistakes since he's been at Auburn. So
Definitely. Yeah, a lot riding on Jackson Arnold for sure.
And I think he's going to run him into the ground.
There's a three game stretch at Oklahoma, at A&M, and then Georgia at following a bye week. That's going to be telling for their season.
Yeah, with starting at Baylor, that's the reason that Baylor game is so important.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Their running back would probably be Darrell Robinson, that transferred from UConn.
Okay.
Yeah, probably so.
Congrats, Darrell Robinson. You're going to be really good, but nobody's going to know because you're not going to get any carries.
You're
Yeah.
going to get 13.
You're gonna have 2 games where you're going to get 25 carries and run for 175 yards, and you think it's figured out, and you're going to have 10 games where you get 8 carries and 62 yards.
Yep. And one of those 175 3 TD games is going to be against Texas A&M. Guaranteed.
You hush, boss man.
Oh, but that's in Kyle Field this year, right?
That's
Yes.
true. So it probably will be more like 60.
Yeah.
It's in Kyle.
Yeah.
But if Texas A&M hasn't figured out how to run a zone coverage, they're going to have problems this year. They've got to figure out, because once Lincoln Riley figured out, is like, wait, they can't cover us man to man and they can't do anything else. And at that point, Lincoln Riley just started taking advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Texas A&M turning 5 stars into 2 stars since 2000.
If we would have talked about returning production, I would have said they probably have the most in the conference too.
Yeah. What? Talk about that next week.
Yeah, we got time. We got time.
We got time. So I'm just going to leave this set here. We're just going to come back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Basically, the whole show we were off the rails
Yep.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got one of the topics. That's so. All right.
And that SEC After Dark logo is just fire.
It
Yeah,
is.
I like that.
I do too.
It is.
When I see that color scheme, it reminded me, like, I'm waiting for Duke Silver to come out and play the saxophone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I added a little bit of I added a little bit of blue touch to it because it originally came out purple,
Yeah.
and so I just to keep with the blue and yellow color scheme, I did some
No,
Photoshop work.
You
to
did a
it.
fantastic job. You did a
Yeah,
it looks
fantastic
good.
job.
And then I love how, and you're never sure until you actually see it in place, but I love how the channel logo came out too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
But,
awesome.
we're working on some stuff, and it's going to be a great rebranding, and got a potential big show on the horizon that we're not going to tell you about yet until it actually happens, but it's going to be big. It's going to be big. So
Yeah. We won't tell the audience about it, but I think we'll tell the other hosts about it.
yeah, so the
Thank
audience
you.
just know something big is likely on the horizon.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
This channel has a chance to blow up pretty good.
Yeah. So if you want to join Steer Agency in sponsoring and being partners with the channel, not just the show, because we have other shows, and we have a couple other shows in the works, and we have 2 running or 3. Is it 3 or 4, Steve?
Ole Miss After Dark, Biscuits and SEC, and SEC After Dark.
And then Dids in the Dugout, is that?
That's Ole Miss After Dark.
Okay, that's same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So you got Ole Miss After Dark. We got 3 shows, this one being the tent pole, because we're the OG. And then Biscuits and SEC is and Ole Miss After Dark are 2 pillars that are going to hold up the foundation of the whole thing, and then it's going to be great. So if you want to join in and sponsor the show, just reach out, and we'll work out something really nice for you, and you can grow with us. So it's we're not going to break the bank yet, but when we become big, we will break the bank a little bit. But we'll work with you. So get in touch with us, and we'll get it there. So Stephen Willis, the most watched Ole Miss show in the history of Ole Miss podcast. I think he has like 75 billion views. My camera just does that every once in a while, just drops.
You need a new camera.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know what's going. It's like this is a new thing. Like it just dropped. Everything's connected. I haven't touched it. But yeah, Stephen Willis, Locked On Ole Miss, most watched Ole Miss podcast ever. Jake Thomas, Bama After Dark. It's good Lord. We are really off the rails tonight.
If you're a camera equipment dealer, sponsor the show and send us a Christmas.
Yeah. If you deal with webcam,
B&H Video, let us know.
B&H,
Probably.
please send me a webcam. All right. I think I dug out the old Gateway webcam from 2001.
Yeah.
I think so.
But Jake Thomas, Tide Talk Live, and well, maybe that may transition to Bama After Dark. That might be in the works. Who knows? All right, Mike Huseman, future host. We got a show. We got a show in the writing phase. So we're writing the concept of it, trying to get a name for it. But there is a show in the works. He's with Mike Farrell Sports right now, but soon to be have a second home here at the After Dark channel. Jeb, same thing. We got some shows in the writing. He's going to have a show called Google This.
Oh man, That's perfect.
And then Boss Man and Hammer, who Hammer's not here to receive this credit, but Biscuits and SEC, longtime newsletter, very popular. Now they are in. Now they're coming at you live on Wednesday nights. So Biscuits and SEC there to round out the channel. More to come. Me, Locked On Vandy, believe in Georgia Dogs, which soon to be Dogs After Dark, maybe. We'll see. So that being said, we join forces to be SEC After Dark, and we'll see you back here next week, better than ever. And we'll see you then. Go Dogs, anchor down.
Hotty toddy.
Spurs up.